Adapted from archaic translation by H. T. Francis and R. A. Neal. Jataka number 400. Dabhapupfa Jataka. Friend Anatirikari, etc. The master told this while living in Jetavana monastery, concerning Upananda, of the Shakya tribe. He was initiated in the faith, but gave up the virtues of contentment and the rest and became very greedy. At the beginning of the reigns he tried 2 or 3 monasteries, leaving at one an umbrella or a shoe, at one a walking stick or a water pot, and living in one himself. He began the reigns in a country monastery, and saying, "The brethren must live contentedly," explained to the brethren, as if he were making the moon rise in the sky, the way to the noble state of content, praising contentment with the necessities. Hearing him the brethren threw away their pleasant robes and vessels, and took pots of clay and robes of dust rags. He put the others in his own lodging, and when the rains and the Pavarana festival were over he filled a cart and went to Jetavana monastery. On the way, behind a monastery in the forest, wrapping his feet with creepers and saying, "Surely something can be got here," he entered the monastery. 2 old brethren had spent the rains there. They had got 2 coarse cloaks and 1 fine blanket. And, as they could not divide them, they were pleased to see him, thinking, "This elder monk will divide these between us," and said, "Sir, we cannot divide this which is clothing for the rains. We have a dispute about it, do you divide it between us?" He consented, and giving the 2 coarse cloaks to them he took the blanket, saying, "This falls to me who know the rules of discipline," and went away. These elders, who loved the blanket, went with him to Jetavana monastery, and told the matter to the brethren who knew the rules, saying, "Is it right for those who know the rules to devour plunder thus?" The brethren, seeing the pile of robes and bowls brought by the elder monk Upananda, said, "Sir, you have great merit, you have gained much food and clothing." He said, "Sirs, where is my merit? I gained this in such and such a manner," telling them all. In the hall of truth they raised a talk, saying, "Sirs, Upananda, of the Shakya tribe, is very greedy and greedy." The master, finding their subject, said, "Brothers, Upananda's deeds are not suited for progress. When a brother explains progress to another he should first act suitably himself and then preach to others. Yourself first stablish in righteousness. Then teach. The wise should not self-seeking be." By this stanza of the Dharmapada he showed the righteous path and said, "Brothers, Upananda is not greedy for the first time. He was so before, and he plundered men's property before." And so he told an old tale. Once upon a time when Brahmadatta was reigning in Benares, the bodhisattva was a tree spirit by a river bank. A jackal, named Mayavi, had taken a wife and lived in a place by that river bank. One day his mate said to him, "Husband, a longing has come upon me. I desire to eat a fresh rohita fish." He said, "Be easy, I will bring it you," and going by the river he wrapped his feet in creepers, and went along the bank. At the moment, 2 otters, Gambirakari and Anatirikari, were standing on the bank looking for fish. Gambirakari saw a great rohita fish, and entering the water with a bound he took it by the tail. The fish was strong and went away dragging him. He called to the other, "This great fish will be enough for both of us. Come and aid me," speaking the first stanza. Friend Anatirikari, rush to my aid, I request. I've caught a great fish, but by force is carrying me away. Hearing him, the other spoke the second stanza. Gambirakari, luck to you. Your grip be firm and stout. And as a rock would lift a snake, I'll lift the fellow out. Then the 2 together took out the rohita fish, laid him on the ground and killed him. But saying each to the other, "You divide him," they quarreled and could not divide him. And so sat down, leaving him. At the moment the jackal came to the spot. Seeing him, they both saluted him and said, "Lord of the grey grass color, this fish was taken by both of us together. A dispute arose because we could not divide him. Do you make an equal division and part it?" Speaking the third stanza. A dispute arose between us. See, O you of grassy color. Let our contention, honored sir, be settled fair by you. The jackal hearing them, said, stating his own strength. I've arbitrated many a case and done it peacefully. Let your contention, honored sirs, be settled fair by me. Having spoken that stanza, and making the division, he spoke this stanza. Tail, Anatirakari, Gambirakari, head. The middle to the arbiter will properly be paid. So having divided the fish, he said, "You eat head and tail without quarreling," and seizing the middle portion in his mouth, he ran away before their eyes. They sat downcast, as if they had lost 1,000 pieces, and spoke the sixth stanza. But for our dispute, it would have long sufficed us without fail. But now the jackal takes the fish, and leaves us head and tail. The jackal was pleased, and thinking, "Now I will give my wife Rohita fish to eat," he went to her. She saw him coming and saluting him spoke a stanza. Even as a king is glad to join a kingdom to his rule, so I am glad to see my lord today with his mouth full. Then she asked him about the means of attainment, speaking a stanza. How, being of the land, have you from water caught a fish? How did you do the feat, my lord? I request, answer to my wish. The jackal, explaining the means to her, spoke the next stanza. By dispute it is their weakness comes, by dispute their means decay. By dispute the otters lost their prize. Mayavi, eat the prey. There is another stanza, uttered by the perfect wisdom of Buddha. Even so when dispute arises among men, they seek an arbiter, his leader then. Their wealth decays, and the king's coffers gain. After the lesson, the master explained the truths and identified the birth. At that time the jackal was Upananda, the otters the two old men, the tree spirit who saw the cause was myself. Source. Adapted from archaic translation by H. T. Francis and R. A. Neal. Jataka number 401. Dasanaka Jataka. Dasana's good sword, etc. The master told this, when living in Jetavana monastery, concerning the temptation of a brother by his wife when a layman. The brother confessed that he was backsliding for this reason. The master said, "That woman does you harm. Formerly too you were dying of mental sickness owing to her, and got life owing to wise men," and so he told a tale of old. Once upon a time when the great king Madhava was reigning in Benares, the bodhisattva was born in a Brahmin household. They called his name young Senaka. When he grew up he learned all the sciences at Taxila. And coming back to Benares he became King Madhava's advisor in things worldly and spiritual, and being called wise Senaka he was looked upon in all the city as the sun or the moon. The son of the king's household priest came to wait on the king, and seeing the chief queen adorned with all ornaments and exceedingly beautiful, he became charmed, and when he went home lay without taking food. His comrades inquired of him and he told them the matter. The king said, "The household priest's son does not appear, how is this?" When he heard the cause, he sent for him and said, "I give her to you for 7 days, spend those days at your house and on the 8th send her back." He said, "Very well," and taking her to his house took delight with her. They became charmed of each other, and keeping it secret they fled by the house door and came to the country of another king. No man knew the place they went to, and their path was like the way of a ship. The king made proclamation by drum round the city, and though he searched in many ways he did not find the place where she had gone. Then great sorrow for her fell upon him. His heart became hot and poured out blood. After that blood flowed from his entrails, and his sickness became great. The great royal physicians could not cure him. The bodhisattva thought, the disease is not in the king, he is touched by mental sickness because he sees not his wife. I will cure him by a certain means. So he instructed the king's wise advisers, Ayura and Pukkusa by name, saying, the king has no sickness, except mental sickness, because he sees not the queen. Now he is a great helper to us, and we will cure him by a certain means. We will have a gathering in the palace yard and make a man who knows how to do it swallow a sword. We will put the king at a window and make him look down on the gathering. The king seeing the man swallow a sword will ask, is there anything harder than that? Then, my lord Ayura, you should make answer, it is harder to say I give up so and so. Then he will ask you, my lord Pukkusa, and you should make answer, O king, if a man says, I give up so and does not give it, his word is fruitless, no men live or eat or drink by such words. But they who do according to that word and give the thing according to their promise, they do a thing harder than the other. Then I will find what to do next. So he made a gathering. Then these three wise men went and told the king, saying, O great king, there is a gathering in the palace yard. If men look down on it their sorrow becomes joy, let us go there. So they took the king, and opening a window made him look down on the gathering. Many people were showing off each his own which he knew. And a man was swallowing a good sword of 33 inches and sharp of edge. The king seeing him thought, this man is swallowing the sword, I will ask these wise men if there is anything harder than that. So he asked Ayura, speaking the first stanza. Dasana's good sword thirsts for blood, its edge is sharpened perfectly. Yet amidst the crowd he swallows it. A harder feat there cannot be. I ask if anything is hard compared to this. I request, answer me. Then he spoke the second stanza in answer. Greed may lure a man to swallow swords though sharpened perfectly. But to say, I give this freely, that a harder feat would be. All things else so easy. Royal Magadha, I've answered you. When the king heard wise Ayura's words, he thought, so then it is harder to say, I give this thing, than to swallow a sword. I said, I give my queen to the priest's son. I have done a very hard thing. And so his sorrow at heart became a little lighter. Then thinking, is there anything harder than to say, I give this thing to another? He talked with wise Pukkusa and spoke the third stanza. Ayura has solved my question, wise in all philosophy. Pukkusa I ask the question now, if harder feat there be. Is there anything that's hard compared to this? I request, answer me. The wise Pukkusa in answer to him spoke the fourth stanza. Not by words men live, and not by language uttered fruitlessly. But to give and not regret it, that a greater feat would be. All things else so easy. Royal Magadha, I've answered you. The king, hearing this, considered. I first said, I will give the queen to the priest's son, and then I did according to my word and gave her. Surely I have done a hard thing. So his sorrow became lighter. Then it came into his mind, there is no one wiser than wise Senaka, I will ask this question of him. And asking him he spoke the fifth stanza. Pukkusa has solved my question, wise in all philosophy. Senaka, I ask the question now, if harder feat there be. Is there anything that's hard compared to this? I request, answer me. So Senaka spoke the 6th stanza in answer to him. If a man should give a gift, or small or great, in charity, nor regret the giving after, that a harder feat would be. All things else are easy. Royal Magadha, I've answered you. The king, hearing the bodhisattva's words, thought, I gave the queen to the priest's son of my own thought. Now I cannot control my thought, I sorrow and weaken in longing. This is not worthy of me. If she loved me she would not forsake her kingdom and flee away. What have I to do with her when she has not loved me but fled away? As he thought thus, all his sorrow rolled away and departed like a drop of water on a lotus leaf. That instant his entrails were at rest. He became well and happy, and praised the bodhisattva, speaking the final stanza. Ayura answered question, good Pukkusa as well. The words of Senaka the wise all answers do excel. And after this praise he gave him much wealth in his delight. After the lesson, the master explained the truths, and identified the birth. After the truths, the backsliding brother was established in the fruition of the first path. At that time the queen was the wife of his layman days, the king the backsliding brother, Ayura was Moggallana, Pukkusa was Sariputra, and the wise Senaka was myself.